The main idea here is that you learn how to read a paper and also how to practice, how to express your ideas, and how to understand the important parts of the paper. You don't need to understand every single thing of the paper, but you need to keep understand the main idea. Yeah. So here, what I'm trying to remind you is that you need to describe your paper in 1 or 2 sentences. Yeah. That is so. It's almost like rephrasing the title here. But and more than rephrasing the title, so that you go to ChatGPT, rephrase this title. What I want is that you think about, okay, what is the main goal of this paper? And in my case, in the class, what I'm going to show you, or what I already show you, is I show three schematics that I show after writing that sentence. Okay, what is the key thing of this paper? And when I have it clear, then I can emphasize on the important components of the paper. Okay, so I hope that this is clear, and now I'm going to show you the other parts of the outline. So some of the papers in science that they are not short reports, and even the short reports of information that we publish, they have so much information. So if you are going to have a 15 minutes, 20 minutes presentation, that in a conference, what you generally have is 12 minutes, except if you're the keynote speaker. You need to have clear which topics are you going to include in the presentations and which topics you are not going to include in the presentation. And this is okay. So I want that you start making an effort to think about, okay, I think this is the part of the paper that is more important. I'm going to show these main ideas, or okay, this is the part of the paper that I understand the most. The other parts are computer simulations, and I'm not a physicist, or I'm not. This is not a math class or a computer science class, so I'm not going to include this one. Yeah. So you need to see what are the key components of the paper. You need to think what you're going to include and what you're not going to include. Even if you understand the entire paper, you need to balance between how much in depth you want to get into one topic and how many topics you want to cover. So I just want that you think about that so that your presentation is much clearer. So here, what I want that you think later, yeah, is okay, there is a main idea. So yeah, so you wrote the main idea of the paper is this one. Yeah, so this will be the trunk of the entire presentation. Yeah, if this was a tree, and a tree has generally one branch, two branch. This is not a very pretty tree, and four branch. Yeah, and here you have not very pretty, but you can see more or less a tree. Okay, yeah. So the key thing here is that I want that you think, okay, how I have to show one idea that support the main idea, two idea, the second idea that will support this one, the third idea that it will support this idea, and the fourth idea that will support this one. And this is now how generally papers are written in science. Yeah, that you have one main idea that it is supported by 4 lines of evidence or more. Yeah, but the idea is, and in your presentation, this should be, if you have a good presentation, you should start elaborating on those type of topics. Okay, so if you have any question, let me know. And now I'm going to give you the last idea. So before starting writing all your slides, one thing that I think is very important is that you have already a framework of the ideas. Yeah. One mistake that I generally used to make, and sometimes I still make it, is that I have too many slides and I still don't have the main ideas. Yeah. So I want that you think about, before you start, what is the main idea that you're going to explain in the introduction? What is the main idea that you're going to talk in the results? What is the main idea you're going to talk in the discussion? and what is the main idea you're going to have uh, in the conclusion. And this is very important, yeah, that it has to be discussed in the beginning and at the end of your paper or your presentation. How this work can be applied or to your research project, or it could be, if it's not related to your research project, how this can be applied to what is the importance of this paper. Yeah, that is very important. Yeah, so if you're, for example, explaining stem cells, neurotheology, and cancer, or you're talking about multiple things. Yeah, the key here is that you have to tell the people that is listening to you why this is important. Yeah, so people say, okay, I'm studying 11 bristles of the leg of a fly, or the back of the fly, or the fin of a fish. Yeah, or or there are so many botany and specific genera of a plant. Yeah, that is not important for most of the people. However, if you said we have this problem in cancer that it cannot be solved, and look, we found that studying this system is important and it will help us to understand that is how you start a presentation, and this is how you finish. You said that, I show you that studying this plant or studying these animals could give us important information to understand how to cure cancer, or how to solve that problem. So that is very important. And after you have all this information, please, you can start thinking about how to build your presentation. Before, maybe you will not have the key idea. Also, another thing, and it doesn't have to be perfect, you need to think about a way to summarize your information with diagrams. Why? Because if you write, I don't know, you put here, copy and paste the entire things from Wikipedia, or the entire abstract of the paper, nobody's going to read it, or if they are going to pay attention to what you're saying or reading that section. Yeah, so you cannot have too much text as is shown there. Right now, some of you will go to a conference, and the first thing that they said in the poster is, do not write too much text, and that can vary between conference. In some of them, too much text is a few sentences, in other one is paragraph. But the idea is that you always find somebody that copy and paste the entire paper, and possibly this is not the best way to do it. The schematics, and so the way that we learn is like, so here you're already, for example, you're already thinking about a fly. In here they're showing that this is the back. Here they're showing you the pathway that can be inhibited here, that it will lead to cell extrusion, and they are showing you that there are cells that are normal, there are cells that have this mutation in RAS, that it will lead to cancer, and that there is cell death. And here all the cells died in the second stage. There is no more cell death, so the purposes start taking over that. Okay, so I don't want that you have a perfect schematic. I just want that you start thinking how to summarize your paper and how to explain those things. So that is becoming a norm in many papers, that you need to have a way to explain all the information with one figure, so it's easier to communicate to science to other people in science from other fields, or even if somebody, I think if you see this, it's much easier to understand that if you read the paper and you work maybe in zebrafish or in our system, you can start making connection much easier. Okay, I hope that this small video was useful to build your outline, and hopefully this can be a good tool for you to learn how to outline your presentation to later start working in your slides. If you have any questions, just let me know.